What's up, guys? Welcome into Forechecking TV, Season 1, Episode 7 here. We are down to the semifinals of the NHL playoffs of 2020-2021 season here, the odd season we all have called it, since it's been shortened. As always, TK here with Scotty and Doug. Our special guest, Mr. Nolan Bistline, is joining us today. What's going on, Nolan? How you doing?
Not much. Glad to be back. Been busy with work, so I haven't been able to hop on as many, but always a good time whenever I'm able to get back on.
Absolutely. Well, let's start off. I know there's only 2 games left. We talked about a couple of the last second round, so we'll just touch on them real quick since we looked at it. Of course, Vegas topping Colorado in that 4-2 series win. Yeah, Colorado started out 2-0. Vegas won 4 straight. So let's touch on this real quick. Whoever wants to talk about how Colorado brutally failed and crapped themselves when it came to that series.
You're just going to hear this a lot from me over the course of this show when we ever go over playoffs. I know nothing about hockey. I have what the hell's going on? You have 2 of the most average teams in the league in your league semifinals going up against an expansion team and a team who legally committed cap circumvention.
Yes.
It's a literal meme, man. It's a literal fucking meme, and I love it. I'm pulling so hard for Islanders and Montreal in the Stanley Cup final just because, I want to know the ripple effects. I want to wake up every morning to people saying that, we need to make Chris Russell relevant again. He needs to be a great NHL player or whatever. It's just nuts that this is where we're at. I could see some stuff like this going down 15 years ago, but the league's way too skilled now for this to be happening. I don't understand how we went backwards.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I wanted to bring up to you guys, because I know I personally, as a Colorado fan, I'm wearing Vegas just because I said I was riding whoever West team come out of this. Was this the bold take? But I'm gonna bring it up to you guys that Samuel Girard played like dog shit in Game 6.
Genuinely did.
He let up 3 goals because he refused to play defense and stood there like a fucking statue. Literally, guys go right around him.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not as good as they say he is.
Right. Nolan, go ahead. I think you want to say something.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nolan.
It was ugly to watch. Grubauer, Vezina contention, I think you take him right out of there. Losing 4 in a row. I think that just eliminates him from the option.
Yeah.
The team had it the first 2 games. You would have thought it would have been a sweep at that point, the way they were playing. But I don't know. Vegas is wild. And, is this something that we'll see with Seattle right back at it again? Are they just trying to make these expansion teams competitive right away?
The answer to that is yes, Nolan. And that also builds off to my next question. Who's going to be taken by Seattle in the expansion draft, do you think? It will be Sam Girard or Ryan Graves? Because both of them are absolute dog water in this series.
Ryan Graves was better than Girard, just to be honest with you. Ryan Graves didn't play as good when Ryan Reeves pummeled his head in. So
I don't know, man. Go ahead, Scotty.
I was just saying I don't think there was much of a difference. Yeah, this one's got a sting for Colorado fans. Not to hit TK while he's down, obviously, but
yeah.
Would it be a fair statement to say that you guys had a better team this year than you did last year?
Yeah, even though consistently 3 years in a row now we lose in the second round.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And another thing, I kind of, I don't want to start making these statements already, but I'm kind of starting to lean this way. Is Nathan McKinnon starting to become this generation's Joe Thornton?
No, he's not. No.
Where the guy just plays on great teams but never wins anything?
No.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He's
Think about it. Think about it, TK. I know you don't. Listen. I need you to put the phone card away for a little. Put it in the back pocket right now and ask yourself: since Nate McKinnon stepped in, what's he actually won?
I mean, you're right.
What's he won?
You're right, but he's got the rest of the team failing him. I think.
Okay, and it's the same. It was the same deal with Joe. He's got a Rookie of the Year award, and that's about it. That's it. And then you look at that. Then you compare him to Joe Thornton. 1 second here. I mean, look at Joe Thornton. Once again, a guy who's played on a lot of great teams and really doesn't have a lot to show for it aside from that one MVP year in 05-06. You know, I mean, I get that it's, you know, he's heading in, he said himself, he's heading into year number 9 or 10 or whatever, and he hasn't won anything. So I don't want to, you know, I don't want to just put the guy on blast like that, but you got to really think about it.
Yeah.
You know, he's getting to the halfway point of his career, and he doesn't really have a lot to show for it. He got a Rookie of the Year award, but that's about all he's got to show for it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you to a point. I mean, a lot of times when we're all talking about top players in the league, though, you're putting up with, you know, Crosby, McDavid, Matthews, McKinnon. You know, you're like, he's up there, but that's just because of what he's putting up with his points and totals and things like that. But he hasn't had, I mean, yeah, that team looks so strong and good every season, but you come to the playoffs and there's always 1 or 2 pieces on that played good all season that completely crap themselves in the playoffs. And Gerard and Graves being 2 of those pieces right there in this one. And that's the defense that was strong all season. Going up against Vegas, you need to be strong. You can't play like you're playing Ottawa or Columbus, for example.
Yeah. They're not deep enough.
No, that's what I said. They're good, but they're not good enough.
They're not deep enough at forward.
Yeah.
Center specifically.
Another thing I want to build on, exactly, you touched on it, Dougie. I mean, you can trace a lot of this back to Nazem Kadri getting that suspension. That's honestly was the backbreaker. Your center depth was shot after Kadri was gone. That hurt. It hurts to have that, to not have that guy. I mean, so that's got to, you know, pose the question too. Is that a guy that you consider moving just because maybe he's not as reliable as he needs to be? I mean, how many more years is he gonna, you know, not show up because he's you know, he's on the shelf because he got suspended again? You know, it's come to the point where like, okay, this guy's great when he plays, but unfortunately, anytime we get into a major situation, he's taking himself out of games because he has to kill somebody. And it's just that's just what it is.
Yeah.
You can also look and say, hey, we had a good team and we had the center depth, and then Kadri just takes himself out. It honestly poses, I think it does pose the question. Maybe, you know, I could be off base with that, but I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't know.
I have one more player to bring up too, but Nolan, I think you were trying to say something too. So go ahead real quick.
Yeah. Just sounds like a team that I root for. Starting to get that feeling.
Well,
you know,
I was starting to think that too, Nolan. I'm like, man, this kind of reminds me of when, you know, Ovi was muddling through his years, just not being able to win anything.
Right.
And granted, yeah, it's starting to look a little similar to that.
And one
second round exits.
We got these big teams. We got the President's Trophy winners, and we haven't gotten to the conference finals yet. I don't think he hasn't made it past the second round yet, has he? No.
Who?
McKinnon. He hasn't made it past the second round yet.
No. No, and another play I wanted to bring up is based on how many missed opportunities he has on the Colorado team for pucks that he can get on his stick and get it right at the net is JT Compher. He couldn't sometimes he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Okay. Like it's just some of those opportunities that I see are ridiculous. Like you should have that easily in the back of the net and you just either whiff on it or shoot it into the next, you know, galaxy over. Doug, go ahead.
Glad you brought it up because I think JT Compher is going to be the guy who goes to Seattle.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, he's making $3.5 million against the cap. And, you know, it's one of those guys that makes you question why the hell is he making $3.5 million? You know, I'll be honest with you, man, I was sick whenever I saw that he was their answer to play second line center after Kadri got suspended. So I'm like sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, you got Tyson Jost who can play center. You have Alex Newhook who can play center. You have so many other options, but you just literally force-fed JT Compher into the top 6. I can't believe it. And as for Kadri, man, you got to try and move him. I could see like, oh shit, he has a no trade clause. That makes this even worse. I was gonna say trade him to Columbus for Domi, because I feel like that makes sense and like just like a player for player swap.
Domi would be a decent fit in Colorado. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I also think that this summer is gonna be the summer that Jonathan Drouin finally goes to Colorado and reunites with Nate. That's something that I want. That's been on my radar and in my mind that I really want to happen. And the big reason, honestly, we have to acknowledge this. The big reason that Colorado is so much better this year compared to last year, other than like their young guys were all another year older, was Joe Sakic was able to turn Nikita Zadorov, who's one of the worst analytical defensemen in the league, into Brandon Saad.
Yes.
And he was awesome. Like, he's great play driver, great at driving possession. His wins above replacement rating was in like the 78th percentile of the league the last time I checked it. And like, that's a guy that when he hits the open market this offseason, somebody's going to give him like 5x5 or something big like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally on there. Without a doubt. Somebody's stupid. We'll do it.
I know we touched on this last round as well, because some of them were finished when we did the last show, some of them weren't. Montreal swept Winnipeg. I know we're not going to touch on this one. I know we touched on the last one, but they made, they really made Winnipeg or Edmonton look bad, as we talked about, because of Winnipeg sweeping them, and then they come out and sweep Winnipeg. We'll get to their matchup with Vegas here in a bit. The Islanders versus Boston. I know that one, I don't think was quite done when we were on the last show. So let's talk that one. The Islanders pulling that off in 6 games.
I mean, it's the Islanders. I mean, we've seen what Barry Trotz has done since he's left the Capitals. He's won, 6 series, 7 series in 5 years. So, I mean, I think the Islanders have it right now. It was their time one of these years, I think. So,
How long is the blame list in Boston got to be? I mean, how many people are getting the finger pointed at them right now?
A lot less than Toronto.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's that list is still pretty hefty.
Yeah.
You gotta figure. Tuukka Rask is getting some. You gotta figure the refs are getting some. Those fans of TD Garden got to be getting some. Don Sweeney and Bruce Cassidy got to be getting some. The depth or lack thereof got to be getting some.
Jake DeBrusk is always getting some.
The 2019 Bruins got to get some. Did I say the refs? Did I already say the refs? Because they get it again. And the biased NHL has to get it again, right? I don't know. But, hey, I mean, just an under – it's an under –
some.
Really, it is.
Listen, if we're talking blameless, if I started a Toronto Maple Leafs blame list, I'm literally – there's only one thing that needs to be on the list. It is quite literally they thought they didn't need Taylor Hall. I'm never going to get over that. Like, what Taylor Hall went for was the Leafs equivalent of a 2021 second round draft pick and Pierre Engvall.
Essentially.
But you still traded a first round draft pick for Nick Foligno when he was already injured. It was already public knowledge he was injured.
The most notable thing he did was fight Corey Perry.
For something that he shouldn't have even been fought.
That didn't need to be fought over.
A literal accident. Dude, that's like in gang terms where it's like you hear gunshots for no reason, but like they're just like, you know what? I have to kill you. I don't know, man. It's just ridiculous with where we're at. But with the Islanders, go ahead, Nolan.
I was just gonna say, like Boston in that just rebuild stage now. You're at the moment where you can't get past a certain round, and they need something new.
I won't go that far. I don't
No,
think that.
I wouldn't go that far.
Because you still have Marchand, who's still going to be productive. You still got Pasta. It seems like Taylor Hall's interested in coming back, so we'll see if they can manage to work that out.
For once.
Yeah, for once he's willing to come back. So I mean, I won't say that the window is closed for Boston, but man, I will say they're starting to run out of time. I think it's starting to run. I think the door's starting to close a little bit unless they start to make some moves and make something happen. In a matter of time, because your core is getting old. Krejci's 34, Bergeron's 35, Rask is 33. So there are some certain elements to the team that are starting to age, but I feel like those can be easily fixed. But if they choose not to and just stick with those guys, then yeah, I'd say that their time's starting to run out. But man, Islanders just got it going on. Kyle Palmieri has stepped up huge for those guys in that series. He was big. Matt Barzal remembered to score goals, so that was a huge factor for them too. And even Pajot and Josh Bailey were doing their thing. And even Varlamov is also playing well. He went from, it's like, okay, this guy's going to be the Islanders version of Marc-Andre Fleury and watch the young up-and-comers sort of, take the reins. And now he's like, oh, hold on a minute, I'm still here. And now he's kind of taking back over, and he seems to be riding all that momentum into the conference or not the conference finals, but the semifinals at this point. So, yep, definitely not time to sleep on the Islanders. This might be a team that can make it to the Stanley Cup final.
And then I don't know, did we touch on was Tampa and Carolina finished the last show we did, or was that game in progress?
It was in progress, but like it was basically like we talked about it. It was just like the Hurricanes are dead.
Yeah, they are.
Like,
4-1 win for
Tampa.
Tampa.
There's nothing they can do. Also, fun thing about Carolina that came out today. Dougie Hamilton is able to talk to teams already.
Wow.
About a contract. And they could do a sign and trade. Yeah, so that's an interesting little mid-playoff trade nugget that's going around.
Interesting.
And the big thing with that is I don't think they'll be able to sign. Similar to how, like, remember how the year before Pietrangelo left St. Louis, they just had to have Justin Falk taking up that cap money. They're in the same issue with Brady Shea.
Yeah.
And they're going to replace Dougie Hamilton with Brady Shea, who is nowhere near capable of doing what Dougie Hamilton is. The truth is, Dougie Hamilton should be a Norris Trophy candidate consistently. It's just they run that entire trophy voting system based off of reputation and not like actual play.
Right.
So, yeah.
I know before we talk about some other stuff, I know we want to bring up a couple of players that might be signed by certain teams, and we want to talk about the Rangers with news just come out today. Before we get to all that, like we normally do, let's touch on the last two that are currently in progress. So these semifinal matchups here. So let's start with the one that's already has a game in with Tampa and the Islanders. The Islanders lead that one 1-0. It was a close game though, to be honest. Matt Barzal had a nice little sweet goal going on there for the first to open up the scoring in that series. So let's make some little predictions on that. Maybe talk about that one. We'll move to the other one, and then we'll move on from there. So Islanders, Lightning. Let's go with that one.
I don't really have a prediction for it, but that goal that Ryan Pollock scored was nasty. Like, I know we use the term piss missile in baseball, but that shot was an absolute piss missile. Like, unbelievable. But yeah, I think, got this weird feeling the Islanders are going to do the damn thing. And that, they're just going to go do it. And nobody's going to know how or why. It's just going to happen. And we're all going to have to live with it. We're going to have to live with the consequences of, the Cal Clutterbucks and the Matt Martins of the world getting national praise. And, it'll probably cause you know, some random NHL GMs within the league to get poopy pants and get into a bidding war for Nick Delorier or some shit. So I'm not prepared for that, but it's gonna happen. Yeah, no. Listen, I would be Scotty, I would be shaking right now. I would be sitting in a corner shaking if Jim Rutherford were still the general manager of the Penguins.
If Jim Rutherford were still GM, he would already be here. Let's just be honest. He would already be here. He wouldn't
And would have traded Brian Russ to get him.
Yes.
Probably.
Brian Russ would be skating on a line with Trevor Zegras and Max Comtois next season.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That actually sounds nasty though.
It does.
Don't want it to happen. Anyways, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of sick at the idea that Matt Martin and Cal Clutterbuck have a shot at winning a Stanley Cup before a lot of other guys do. It's honestly kind of, not sitting well with me at the moment. But give credit where credit's due. This Islanders team, I feel like they're going to learn from last year's, shortcomings. They know how to play this Tampa team. They know what they have to do in order to take them down. And I feel like they don't even need to play all that outstanding offensively with the way Varlamov's been in net. I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely see this series going the distance, but I'm going to lean towards the Islanders here. I'm usually I'm the guy who's rooting for Tampa Bay, but I'm going to go with the Islanders in this one. I think the Owls got it in 7.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I totally go in 7 as well. Honestly, I think it'll be a back and forth series. That first game only was 2-1, but I definitely think we'll see some games that are up there. 5-4, 6-5. I could see them easily going. I also could see a double overtime game here, because why not?
It's true.
Who's going to score the double OT winner of that game?
Probably Matt
Martin.
Puck is going in off Matt Martin's ass cheek.
Yeah. Okay. Matt Martin's going to be looking in a completely different direction. The puck's going to glance off his leg and go in behind Vasilevsky. And
Off a shot from Cal Clutterbuck.
He's going to start pumping like he dangled through Victor Hedman's legs.
That's the shot's going to come from Andy Green.
Jesus Christ.
And the secondary assist is going to come from Travis Zajac because, of course.
Why not?
And it's going to be, and it's not even going to be the fact that Zajac was on the ice. It's going to be one of those like rare secondary assists from a dude that's on the bench because he sat up the play and then went to the bench.
Yeah, the other one.
If that happens, I have permission to tweet on the Ford checking account. Fuck it, Matt Martin asshole.
That's fine.
Okay.
You have a login for a reason there, Doug.
By the way, if anyone was wondering, Doug runs our social media page.
Yes. Doug does run social media.
Doug runs the show.
Yeah. And then of course the other one, Montreal and Vegas, game 1 is about to drop here. It might have already dropped. It was a 9:00 game tonight. This is a weird one because no one expected Montreal to be here. And they're going up against a hot Vegas Golden Knights team. And does Montreal have a shot?
Yes.
Yes.
I said it the last time I was on, and I'll say it again. They have nothing to lose. They have no business being here. So what do they care if they lose anyway? They're not supposed to be here. They're playing like they have nothing to lose, and really they don't. They're going to keep doing this. And I can honestly see them making a push here for this Stanley Cup. I don't know if maybe the kryptonite is the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't know. This is a tough one to predict. It's not like in the past where, it's like, okay, well, you can sort of decide who's going to be, it's kind of a clear-cut winner. This one's not one that I can easily determine with. You have a team that on paper shouldn't be here. They barely finished above 500, yet here they are in the semifinals, 4 wins away from a Stanley Cup final appearance. Somehow they're able to make it happen. I'm going to go with the Golden Knights on this one just because for whatever reason, I feel like they can't choke away again. They can't choke it away for the 3rd year in a row. I feel like they have to, make another appearance in the Stanley Cup final again. But again, this one's, I could see it going the distance as well. So,
real quick before anybody else jumps in, Scotty, I know you weren't in last show, and I brought this up, so I wanted to throw it to you real quick. I brought up last show. I talked with Doug and the Hockey Troll about it. If you're from our perspective as advanced hockey fans, looking at a team like Montreal, we see a lot of that upcoming new talent, coming in the league, like Jesper Kotkaniemi, Cole Caulfield, players like that. But from an average hockey fan's perspective, who just people who just watch hockey and only know the big names, you're looking at Montreal as a team of no names making a run to the semifinal, other than like Carey Price and Corey Perry and players like that. You know what I mean? Like all these younger guys, as an average fan, they don't know who they are.
Exactly. I mean, you look at guys like you said, Perry and Shea Weber are essentially has-beens.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thought that the most value that in that 1-for-1 with Weber and Subban, that Weber was the most valuable addition? Who'd have thunk it? Honestly, it's really been shocking that he's had the biggest impact in that trade for his specific team, but he has. He's really straightened out the defensive core on that back end. I think that's why one of the reasons why they've been so sustainable is that he's showed a lot of these younger defensemen, hey, this is what we need to do. This is how we need to play. And it's worked. They've been able to sustain a lot of defensive stability, and that's why they're able to be in the position that they're in right now. So, yeah, I mean, just you don't know why, but you just accept it for what it is. And lucky for Mark Bergevin, he's gonna get another great extension for this run. He's going to. Mm-hmm. He has to at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is just unbelievable, like how Montreal's been able to come together. But when your two big defensive guys on the right side are Shea Weber and Jeff Petrie, you're doing something right, man. Like everybody talks about how like they're kind of like just like boring players and kind of like semi-obsolete, but like they both can still move. Like they can still move the puck up the ice. They can still push play up the ice, and they're so solid defensively. It's crazy, and I mean, I want Montreal and the Islanders to make it to the Stanley Cup just because I don't know what the hell would happen. It would literally be a 6 or 7 game just mess. Also, since we're on Montreal, I was listening to another podcast this week. I was listening to 412 Sports Talk, and they had our guy Danny from Penn's blog on, and they were talking about the Penguins getting bigger and stronger. And he said, like, the only person, he said he's looked at numbers and stuff and like metrics and things of that nature. And the only person that he would want the Penguins to pursue, if available, would be Joel Armia, if he hits the market. Thoughts on that? I think it's interesting. I also think it's a very simple, seamless way to replace somebody on the blue line whenever you inevitably lose one of them to Seattle.
I won't totally object to it. You said it was Armia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I won't totally object to the idea, but at the same time, I'm a little shaky about it too. I just, Armia's kind of like, he kind of has like the Max Talbot factor where he's a big game performer.
Yes.
But, is it going to be worth dragging him along for an 82 game season? You know what I mean? So
that's my thing.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea what he does outside of those like 2 or 3 games where he looks like a world beater. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
I think for them, they could probably just look. I mean, they have plenty of options to use throughout the season that had size and younger.
Angelo.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could easily incorporate them instead of looking for that sort of thing, because at some point, most likely in the future, if you keep them around, you're going to need them. So why not, if the opportunity is there to play third, fourth line minutes, why not get them in there?
Yeah, and I think that's what just something that Pittsburgh as a whole needs to get better at doing is like using some of these depth guys that they have in the minors and things of that nature. Because look at how many people from the 16 and 17 runs that were just like black aces and extra skaters that are actual competent NHLers now that Jim Rutherford just kind of like threw in a trash basket and was like, I mean, he literally traded Josh Archibald away because he was pissed off that they'd lost to like a Western Conference team in the middle of February.
I mean, that same thing you could say with Capitals as well. I mean, you saw all those guys now where they're at. You know, I mean, Burakovsky, Colorado. Sorry, TK, but Colorado. I mean, Stevenson right up there, Vegas. Grubauer, Colorado. Sorry, TK. I mean, Schmidt, he had some prime days when he was playing in Vegas and then Vancouver. I mean,
the biggest one of them all is going to be Jacob Vrana.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw what he did right away coming into Detroit.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's craziness.
Pain.
So, yeah, lots of pain. So, do we want to get into the Rangers now?
Real quick before we do, I just want
Okay.
I wasn't on last time, so I want to like make my peace with the whole Mark Scheifele situation with that hit.
Do it.
Remember he put the quote out after the series was over saying, I thought I was going to be tried to be shut down by Philippe Deneau. Instead, it was the Department of Player Safety that shut me down. I mean, maybe if you didn't act like Vontaze Burfict on skates, you wouldn't have had to deal with that problem. But that just wasn't. I don't know what he thought was going to happen there. I mean, that's just a clown comment to say by him. But yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest real quick because I saw that comment. I literally laughed out loud because I couldn't believe he was actually mad at the Department of Player Safety for actually doing their job.
Yeah, it's funny how many of these younger guys like Scheifele and a couple other guys that you think of like notably, like how many of them like still have like that old time hockey type of mentality. It just blows me away because like, you have some people that are really into like the analytics movement and into like the speed and skill movement. And then you have guys like Mark Scheifele who think it's okay to like basically kill someone and try to put them in the hospital. I don't know, man. It's crazy. But now we're talking about analytics movement and speed and skill. Everybody's favorite analytics head coach, Gerard Gallant, is back in the NHL. He's reported today he's been hired to be the next head coach of the New York Rangers. It's going to be a 4-year deal. And I think this is the most perfect thing that could have happened to the Rangers in terms of like hiring somebody. The only other coach in the league that I would have, or that's like in like a league's coaching circle that I would have wanted would have been Jeremy Colleton if he got fired in Chicago. But this is probably the best possible scenario because I feel like everywhere Gallant has gone, he's coached young talent and inexperienced guys. And I mean, what he did in Vegas in that short period of time speaks for itself. And a lot of us forget that he was the head coach in Columbus whenever Rick Nash first came in. He's very in tune with working with these young superstar players who need a little bit of help putting it all together. I mean, we all know that Rick Nash wasn't an amazing talent whenever he first came in. Like there were a couple nice walking highlight reel goals he had, but he didn't have anything else around him, But now with guys like Lafreniere and Capo Caco, Keandre Miller, Adam Fox, guys like that, they have talent around them. And we touched on it last week with Hockey Troll that out of all the teams that are rebuilding right now, the Rangers are in the best position to succeed, not because of all the guys that I just mentioned, but just simply because Igor Shesterkin is the best goalie out of every team in the league that is close to the finishing stages of the rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Gallant definitely going to make a difference there. Yeah, I think for the Rangers, still definitely need some pieces. Yeah, I don't think they become a playoff team right away, but I mean, they definitely, I think, try to, get something or do something big over the off season maybe, and from there, I think you got a good stepping stone. Means the Bandajad's still in his prime. Same with Panarin. You got Shesterkin now coming up. Everyone else, you said Doug. Yeah, I just think they need that. Even if it's a bottom six forward or somebody, I just think they kind of need it. Because after those first two lines, it's like, who's on the Rangers anymore? Because you don't hear many of the bottom six guys as much.
Yeah, the only notable like bottom six guy they have is Filipino, and he's very just hit or miss at times as well.
Exactly.
And like I'm starting to question, like, do they get in on Jack Eichel? I think they could acquire Jack Eichel without giving up anything major. Ryan Strome has turned himself into one hell of a trade trip over the past 2 to 3 years with what he's been able to do with Panarin. And I think that he has the ability to like help them net a big player like this. Maybe, I mean, you're obviously going to have your first round pick involved. And they have a lot of really good prospects and young players outside of Capo Caco and Alexi Lafreniere. So, like, they have a couple really good defensive prospects. Throw one of them in there, maybe use Morgan Barron or trade Filipino in the package as well and go get yourself Jack Eichel. Or if you want to be safer and more conservative, just trade a first round pick to Calgary for Sean Monahan. Because that guy's going to get moved.
Yeah, they need something. Either there's plenty of good options they could do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think defense are okay at the moment. Definitely could probably use somebody, but I think the major need there is another offensive key player that can help them out.
Yeah, they remind me a lot of where the Penguins were at right before they traded for Marion House. Like they have all the pieces they need to succeed. They just need that there's one or two things that get them over the hump. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Also, off topic, I didn't realize Ben Chariot still played for Montreal as well.
Yeah, he's actually not bad.
Yeah, I didn't know he played for him though.
He's been decent. I like him. He's a really good player. He's somebody that I wanted the Penguins to get whenever they were going into the summer of hell with Jack Johnson.
Doug, I know you brought some stuff up. We've talked about it in our little chat we have going on, but people you'd want to bring into the Penguins, and I know you mentioned Tuukka Rask. So let's talk about this a little bit.
That was more or less like me messing around and just having a random thought, but like I wouldn't mind it. I think it could work, but I think ultimately, if we're talking from a sense and logic standpoint, Tuukka's going to resign in Boston and do them a solid and take a cap hit that's hardly anything that's detrimental to their cap situation. The big guy that I want though to run a 1A 1B with Tristan Jarry is I'm a huge Linus Ullmark guy. I am basically the conductor of that train. He has like a 925 career save percentage in Buffalo on teams that were that bad. Like we're talking like I think 3 out of the 5 years he's been in the league, they've gotten the first overall pick or at least a top 5 pick. And I think he's somebody you bring in, run him with Jarry, maybe use the Smith as like a sweetener in a deal or use him as like compensation for Seattle to not take like Tanev or something. Who knows? Now, here's a fun one because it's a big debate now, especially that Malkin got his knee done. Who are your 7 forwards that you protect?
Obviously,
For the Penguins.
Crosby.
All right, so like obviously you're doing Crosby, Malkin, Gensel, Rust, Jared McCann. Apparently, now I think they'll have to protect Jeff Carter because, I mean, it's not like they're gonna Seattle's gonna take Jeff Carter, but like with Malkin getting his knee done, if they do take Jeff Carter, that puts you in predicament. You know, but like they'll have to protect Jeff Carter, and I mean, probably gonna be Kapanen, right?
He's played well enough.
Yeah. I personally protect Eddie Bluger, but like, man, if you lose Kapanen in the expansion draft a year after, you know, Grandpappy Jim traded a first-round draft pick and a top prospect for him, that does not look good. You know, that does not look good at all. It's just like the fact that they probably have to protect Jeff Carter now. There's a curveball in everything because it makes all the sense in the world to protect Bluger and Kapanen both on top of the 5 guys that I mentioned before. And, you know, let Seattle have to make a tough decision. You know, dangle Jason Zucker's $5.5 million cap hit out there. Dangle Brandon Tanev's long ass term of a contract out there. You know, Zach Aston Reese potentially out there as well. You know, and on defense, you got an interesting one too, because like, you know, Marcus Pettersson or Mike Matheson. I think you protect Pettersson because he's more of a trade asset.
So you changed your
to
mind.
you than Mike Matheson would be. Yeah, just simply because Marcus Pettersson would be more of a trade asset to you. You know, if you need a middle 6 winger after you lose somebody in expansion, you trade Marcus Pettersson for that middle 6 winger and potentially an additional asset, and you don't have to deal with needing to make room for POJ next year. Just let POJ play on the 3rd pairing with Cody Ceci or whoever else it may be. Because it's not a guarantee that Cody Ceci's back either. You know?
Right.
Now, in the unlikely event that Mike Matheson and Marcus Pettersson both end up packing their shit this summer, who do you want them to bring in to play with John Marino? I don't know. Like,
Scotty, I throw that to you.
Yeah, I was trying to throw it to Scotty.
I'm bouncing.
The big one I
around.
was thinking of was John Merrill from
Yeah.
Montreal.
I'm looking just at, you know, potential UFAs that would hit the market this off season. I mean, let me see what we got here. Most notable one that pops up is Alexander Edler, but I don't really feel that one.
No,
35-year-old defenseman with 8 points, and he played a full season. I'm not really rocking with that idea.
no, not at all.
Not at all. Do we consider bringing in a Mark Stahl? I don't think so either, but I mean,
I would light myself on fire if they signed Mark Stahl. That would be worse than signing Jack Johnson, actually.
Another one here. This is kind of you know, bringing back a name of the past here, a veteran
Jamie
president.
Alexiak.
No, actually,
Oh, really?
no, I was gonna go.
Doug was all in his feels. He's like, Jamie Alexiak. Yes.
Sorry, disappointed.
Scotty just crushes yours.
Damn.
I was gonna go. I was thinking Alex Goligoski.
Okay, that's popped in my head a couple of times over the past like month and a half here too. Actually,
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because listen, Marino's more of a defensive defenseman. Goligoski has that offensive aspect to him. Good 2-way defenseman. I think that would be a nice, solid marriage as a second pairing.
and also still has the ability to get those points too. He had 22 and 56 this year. So, not something, not, especially for a defenseman of that age too, not anything to sleep on by any
And
means.
probably doing it with second power play minutes, not top power play minutes, because OEL, that's actually pretty damn good.
Yep.
Have I told you guys about my theory?
What's this theory?
All those guys come back in like 2 or 3 years, and they all come out like
Last
the 90s
Dance.
Bulls Last Dance style.
Yeah, we have heard this.
The
one.
Jordan
We're
stall
yeah.
comes back, and yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You even threw Flurry in there, didn't you?
So it would be Stahl, Sid, Gino, Flurry, and Letang, obviously, and then probably like Goligoski or somebody like that.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at some of those older guys don't even play anymore. Like Brooks Orpik doesn't play.
We
Yeah,
convinced
Olympic Stone.
we convinced Tyler Kennedy to come out of retirement to seal up the third line.
Mark Scuderi.
Dude, I was just talking about
You may,
what were you saying, Nolan?
said you may as well just get Aaron Asham while you're at it too. You'll get real physical real quick.
Just like, oh my God, we need some grit and toughness out of nowhere. Like, imagine Jim Rutherford's still the GM during this whole grit and toughness need. And it's like they cut a WWE promo and the arena goes black and there's a spotlight. There's a spotlight going up to the 200 level of PPG Paints Arena. And they appear. It's Jim Rutherford and Tanner Glass.
Tanner, who?
Either that or else the arena goes pitch black, the DX theme song starts playing, and Zach Sill and Bobby Farnham come out.
Tanner 2-pack of ass.
Zach Sill.
No, don't
my
make,
Zach
gosh.
Sill.
don't make
Oh,
fun of
Jesus Christ.
that man. He is playing Hershey.
Wasn't he the captain in Hershey?
He was an assistant.
That causes me physical pain, actually.
Matt Molson was the captain of Hershey.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
People.
I was going to say something actually meaningful before we threw this off the rails.
Well, let's stay off the rails for a second because I thought of yeah. Actually, let's go back onto it now.
No. Let's stay off the rails. I want to know what you were going to say.
I was just gonna bring up another name that I saw here that's eligible for free agency, and I'm thinking, he's another old Penguin, Ian Cole. Do you think?
Yeah, dude. I have a weird emotional attachment to Ian Cole. He was the guy just did his freaking job, man. Like, he didn't really do anything special, but like he did the damn thing. Like, he was good. He was good. Nobody complained about him. He didn't do anything egregious. It was great. He made Justin Schultz look like a Norris Trophy winner.
True.
Also, once again, anytime I acknowledge Justin Schultz on this podcast, shout out to Justin Schultz's agent for being really good at his job. Good on you for getting him another 4-year, $5 million a year contract, because that's wild.
With Washington.
Wild times.
Yeah.
Even better. But
us and defenders, we go real well. We like our old defenders. We don't like young on our team. We like
you
old.
missed it. Nolan, you have to go back and watch us talk about last week with my buddy Hockey Troll. We think the Capitals are going to be just suspect next year. And it's just going to be Ovi scoring a shitload of goals from the left circle when they finish like 18th in the league.
He is going to be ripping the puck from everywhere. He's going to get this record no matter what.
He's gonna play. Sergei Ovechkin has to play in the league.
Oh my God. No, we were talking. I think there's a realistic chance that he can get Gretzky's goal record, retire the next day, and then go break the KHL goal record.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he could.
Because the KHL goal record's only like 370.
Yeah.
I think it could work.
It's just like mid-season, breaks the record, gone. See you guys, done.
Yeah, like they play them in these games, and it's almost like how they just like how like they just let Putin walk in and score.
Yeah,
That's what's going to be in the KHL. They just like that's how it's going to go. Also, this is one of those times where I just want you guys to know I have not been drinking.
Wow.
Is that not a surprise?
I'm thinking of like you see all the highlights of Putin playing hockey where no one goes within 10 feet of him because they're just scared to even touch the guy. Like the goalies literally jump out of the way so that way they don't have a chance of stopping the puck. That's what it's gonna be like whenever Ovi goes back to the KHL. Guys just want to get the record, so they just move. It's unreal.
They'd surround him with the best players too. They'll tell Radulov he has to go back to Russia. The line it'll be him. It'll be Ovi, that Vadim Sipichev from Vegas, and Radulov just tearing it up. No, but I don't know, man. The whole thing's nuts. I have no idea what the Penguins are going to do. I'm excited to know that we're going into an off season where we have no idea what's going to happen in a positive manner, not in a inciting fear and panic. I'm going to trade Jared McCann for Miles Wood type of way.
Yeah.
But to close this out, would you trade Brian Rust, knowing that he's probably not going to sign an extension?
No.
Scotty.
See, that's a tough one because part of me looks at it and says you can slide another player in with Sid and he'll be fine. But at the same time, it's like that line has been one of, if not the best ones that the Penguins have had consistently over the last, 2 or 3 years. Do you risk breaking that up?
Yeah.
And obviously, like you said, you don't think Russ is going to sign. That's probably going to be the case. I think it's worth it because if he's up, everyone's going to be up for free agency that year. Gino's going to be one. So's Rust. So's Carter. So's Letang. So's who else? Even DeSmith. So there's going to be several guys who will be up for free agency. So at that point, you might as well just put all your cash all your chips in. Might as well, I think. So I don't think you trade him. I think you do what you got to do and just say, hey, this guy. He's been one of our most consistent players. Honestly, if you think about it, Brian Russ has been the Pens' most consistent goal scorer over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, like he literally single-handedly replaced Phil Kessel.
Yeah, so
it's ridiculous.
Do you trade that away? I don't think so. I think you got to keep him around and ride it out. If things don't work out, okay, fine. At least you went down with the guys that can help you.
Yeah. The only way I'd trade him is like let's say they dangle him around and Ottawa comes up and is like, we'll give you a 2nd round pick, which is essentially a late first, and Connor Brown. Because Connor Brown just seems like a guy that would thrive with Sid. For the next 2 to 3 years, he's under contract for the same cap hit that Russ makes right now. So in terms of asset management, it would just be like, patching the wheel and just keeping going.
Yes.
I don't know. But honestly, ride with them because, my big thing is like, if you do trade that guy, you're going to trade him out west because
play against you and yep. Mm.
Yeah, exactly. The only time he would potentially play against you would be in the Stanley Cup final.
Right.
And, you trade him for a Western Conference player. What if that player comes over and shits the bed, similar to what Tanner Pearson happened with Tanner Pearson, you know, because like, again, that's another guy. Like, it sucks they traded Carl Hagelin that year because they could have really used Carl Hagelin. I mean, they tried reacquiring him at the deadline, but then I guess Jim Rutherford was unaware that you cannot reacquire players you retain salary on. Because, of course, I mean, we're talking about the guy who got into a legitimate argument at a press conference last summer saying, "Oh, I didn't add salary in trade," and then he was like, then he had like an existential moment. He was like, "Holy shit, I did actually add like an extra $2 million when I was trying to clear cap space." So I don't know, guys, but yeah.
Yeah. Anything else before we close it out here?
We touched on everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think we hit everything.
Well, all right then. For the meantime, we're in the semifinals. So for the rest of the viewers out there, go ahead and watch some hockey. Montreal and Vegas on right now, and Game 2 of the Islanders Tampa Bay Lightning series tomorrow night. So be sure to watch that and stay up to date with it. We'll have another episode next week at some point. Nolan, we wanted to thank him for joining us. He's not in here; had to hop out. So Nolan, we thank you for joining here. But on behalf of myself, Scotty, and Doug, thank you as always for joining us, and we will see you next week right here on Forechecking TV.